It can be extremely difficult to sit and wait and wonder if your ex is going to return. And in particular, this can be extra trying with a fearful avoidant attachment style, because a fearful avoidant attachment style, not intentionally and definitely not in a premeditated way, but they often end up giving a lot of intermittent reinforcement in relationships, meaning they'll be all in one day, they'll pull back another day, and it can leave somebody feeling very confused, overwhelmed, and not really knowing what to do. So in today's video, we are going to break down how to know once and for all whether or not your fearful avoidant ex is likely to come back, and most importantly, what you can do if you are the anxious attachment style trying to heal through this, or the dismissive avoidant trying to heal through this. Because believe it or not, dismissive avoidant attachment styles frequently do chase after their fearful avoidant ex, and it's sort of the one exception that we'll tend to see. To be very clear about that, for anybody listening to this is not something that happens in like 80-90% of cases between a fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant relationship. But I'd say there's about 20-25% of dismissive avoidants that really do pine after their fearful avoidant ex, and they tend to want to chase after them and know if they're coming back. So we're going to cover these major signs that they're not. So you just have the certainty that if you see these things, it's time to really work on healing your heart and moving on. And I'll share a little bit of context, if you are the fearful avoidant listening as well, about what's probably going on inside of you when you arrive at some of these conclusions. Number one, and I'm just going to put this out there, if a fearful avoidant attachment style has their trust fractured, so if their trust is broken, it is extremely unlikely that they're coming back. Okay, so let's get the obvious out of the way on the first point. If there's cheating, even if there's like an emotional affair or like micro cheating that's really crossing a barrier towards an emotional affair, like flirting with somebody over text, talking all the time back and forth with them, like these types of things for fearful avoidant, they're kind of like forbidden territory. And of course, actual cheating, or even things that really point strongly in that direction. And this is largely because a fearful avoidant themselves has such deep internal trust wounds that without having some degree of healthy trust and connection in that way, a fearful avoidant, literally their trust is already hanging by a thread, and somebody comes along and just shatters the entire thing. And it's like irreparable for a lot of fearful avoidants at that point. So that is number one sign that a fearful avoidant just simply isn't going to come back. Number two sign that a fearful avoidant isn't coming back is if they go no contact and they keep it beyond the 6-week mark. Something I talk a lot about on this channel is that when you think of no contact in a relationship, it's not this like, one size fits all, okay, do 30 days of no contact and see what happens. No, it's actually that 30 days of no contact may apply to some individuals, but definitely not fearful avoidance. Fearful avoidants usually respond to no contact and really miss somebody between the 3 to 6 week mark. Okay, so although they're closer to the 30 days than some other attachment styles, like the dismissive avoidant, they usually miss their partner most, not in the first 3 weeks much at all, okay? Because in that first few weeks, they're really just numbing themselves. They're distracting themselves. They're invested in their creature comforts, and they're really trying to just escape and not feel any of their pain. And so it makes it very confusing for them, okay? So one of the big things you'll see is that if beyond the 6-week mark, you still haven't heard from them, they're not talking to you, they're not connecting with you, or trying to chat in the relationship again or stay in touch, then for sure, that is a sign that they're probably moving on. There's probably been a lot that's happened up until that point, and they may not be interested in coming back or rekindling much of anything at all, okay? Because there really is this like raw, sensitive window that they tend to miss somebody within. Now, I just want to remind you before I go into like the other points here, that we're going to talk about the end about what to do, because I just want to be mindful when I'm giving you these timelines of somebody as well, that you don't get into a situation where you are like, okay, let me do all these timelines and follow all these rules for how to like make sure this person misses me, and know, if I could win them back still, and if I could, people please them into coming back, just be mindful that I think information is so useful for context and for giving certainty. But if you use information to abandon yourself and your truth and your needs and your standards in this process, then it becomes harmful. So I just want to be really clear about that. Like, it's good to have context. It's good to have the certainty and the knowing about things, and sort of like be able to know generally like where, the timelines exist. But it's going to be really important for you to also do your own healing, okay? Our next major sign that a fearful avoidant attachment style is never coming back, when they disconnected from you in the relationship, if they either felt broken up with or felt hurt deeply enough that they literally were like deeply, deeply angry at the breakup. So if the breakup happened and they felt blindsided, they felt really hurt, they felt deeply rejected. If for a fearful avoidant, they're hurt enough by somebody, fearful avoidants have the capacity to go really stone cold in a way that's quite different from other attachment styles. And I'll just say this, for a fearful avoidant themselves who's in this kind of space where when they do go stone cold, that's because they have usually been very disappointed by love and connection growing up. They've had enough disappointments and enough hurts that a part of them came into the equation that basically said, I don't want to be open. If somebody hurts me, it's not worth the risk. And I want you to imagine if you saw a lot of good moments with love and connection growing up, but also some really terrifying ones, and then somebody as an adult reminds you more of the terrifying ones than the good ones, then there's this part of you that's like, I would rather literally not be in a relationship with anybody at all than be in a relationship with somebody who's going to hurt me. And this is a really common experience for a fearful avoidant. And that's part of why they have such a strong, deeply fostered sense of independence. It's part of why they're like, I can do my own thing. A lot of fearful avoidants grow up thinking like, I will just always be single and it's safer that way. And at least I can be in control somewhere in my life and not have to feel so out of control because people are scary sometimes. People are messy. They don't fit within like the lines of what I expect. And it's so different from somebody who has like an easy, consistent, stable childhood where it's like, no, we generally expect good things from love and connection. You generally think that things are going to turn out well. Fearful avoidance, just their conditioning doesn't indicate that. Their conditioning isn't like, yes, love is going to be easy and smooth sailing and it's a healthy, beautiful thing and you can trust it. It's like, hey, love can be really beautiful and of course you're going to want it, but like love can be absolutely terrifying and really take away from your needs being met. Okay, so that is our third major sign that the fearful avoidant just isn't coming back. And a fourth major sign is if they start going to great lengths to really cut ties. Okay, so if they're like not talking to mutual friends, blocking you off social media, doing things where they're trying to literally create long-term distancing strategies from you. This could be they've deleted your number from their phone. This could be that they literally like removed you from social media. This can be that mutual friends they literally pulled back from and they're not investing or engaging in those relationships. If you're seeing these things, fearful avoidants usually, if they're still interested in somebody and thinking of going back to them, they'll actually work to keep those ties alive in some capacity and to engage in some way because fearful avoidants don't like love to let go of somebody completely. A lot of fearful avoidants are like, oh, maybe we can be friends after a breakup or things like that. So if they're like literally trying to cut ties, diminish as much, as many pieces of contact that they could have with you as possible, it's a really good sign that they're not coming back. So before I go to point number 5, I just want to let you know, every so often I try to do a gift or like a giveaway to this channel, and I try to pick a course. We have 65 courses at PDS for different areas of your life, for different things you're facing, right? And every so often I try to give a free course just for a limited time. So just for a limited time right now, we are actually offering our 7-day free trial to all courses. Plus, as a gift, you get to keep it for life if you just take the 7-day free trial and go check it out, the How to Heal from a Breakup course, which is literally the best course for like, if you were trying to take the sting out of a breakup, if you're trying to decide whether to go no contact, talks about how different attachment styles heal with no contact, heal if you're on the receiving end of no contact, and really the 4 major pillars that are why we suffer over breakups. And by understanding and reworking and rewiring your relationship to those pillars, because we engage the subconscious mind in the process, you'll have a lot more healing in a much shorter period of time. So it's a great gift to just have on hand if you're ever going through a breakup or anything difficult in your life, or of course, if you're trying to exit a situationship or a tough relationship now, even if that applies to like a friendship, a family relationship, etc. So if you don't want to miss out, it's fully for free. You get to keep it for life. And I'll put the link to it down below. Now, the 5th major sign that if you're a fearful avoidant is never coming back is if they make sure that they have closure. Okay. So a lot of times fearful avoidants, if they're kind of keeping things open-ended, they won't really work on proper closure. They won't like talk about like giving stuff back or exchanging belongings or like boundaries going forward. But a lot of fearful avoidants, when they're like really sure that that's it, they will go to great lengths to have closure and they'll really try to tie up loose ends because fearful avoidants don't love uncertainty. And so they'll try to make sure that like your stuff is back, or like literally we're never talking again and we're not ever going to give each other our stuff back, so it doesn't matter. Like they will let you know, and there will be such a strong finality to it because fearful avoidants are very all or nothing people. And so, they'll either be all in or if they're thinking they're going to come back, they're going to keep ties open and alive. But if they're like closing everything off, if they're shutting everything down, if they're trying to literally have closure in as many places as possible, it's a great sign that they're never coming back. So what do you do if you're on the receiving end of this? Well, I'm just going to let you know that if somebody is literally giving you these 5 signs and they're really showing these things, even if just a majority of those signs are there or a good couple of them, it's a really strong sign that this person is not ready to reinvest in a relationship. And for a lot of fearful avoidants, it doesn't mean they didn't love you or didn't care about you. They often do. But just like dismissive avoidance, fearful avoidants operate from their feelings minus their fears. So if they have a lot of fears, then they're not going to be ready to overcome those fears. And if they're not in a place where their feelings outweigh their fears enough to really do the work, or if those fears and just that attachment trauma from past experiences is too strong, then they really are going to unfortunately be on a roller coaster. If they even try to like bring you back into their lives, you're going to get back in, you're going to be on the roller coaster, and it's going to be the same outcome. So if you're on the receiving end of this, one of the best things you can do, they're honestly all the tools in the breakup course that you can keep for life, but and go through in way more detail because it's like an hour and a half long and there's workbooks. But I'll just say that we tend to hurt the most over people who meet deeply unmet needs. Okay. It's one of the 4 pillars, and it's a great place to just start. Is if you're missing this person, if you're really pining over this person, it's because they met deep unmet needs that you had in your life. And so our subconscious mind grieves, but as much as it's grieving the relationship to the person, it's actually largely grieving, when you really break it down and dissect it, the needs that this person met in your life and really who they made you become. Okay. The traits they brought out in you. So what you want to do is you want to make a list of those things. Maybe they made you feel seen. I mean, some typical things you'll see for fearful avoidance, they make you feel seen, heard. They're often very generous. They're thoughtful. They're supportive. Like on their good days, fearful avoidants are just like such loving, generous, thoughtful, insightful partners. They're deep. They open you up to new levels of awareness. I mean, there's so many beautiful parts about the depth and intimacy, and they're fun. They like novelty. They like to explore. You know, there's so many beautiful parts to a fearful avoidant. And then on their hard days, they're scared. You know, they're really, really scared, and they get hurt really easily, and they shut down really hard. And they do this from deep self-protection and often don't realize how that affects somebody else. So what you have to do is learn what needs they were meeting, make a list of them, put them on paper. And then I want you to rate in the column next to it how much you actually meet these needs in the relationship to yourself from 1 to 10. And then in a third column, I want you to ask yourself, what could I start doing to find other healthy sources of getting these needs met, particularly within yourself first, and then with other healthy friends, family members, etc. Because a huge part, one of the 4 pillars of what we're actually grieving is that somebody was pouring in and meeting these needs. And when they leave our lives, it feels like all of a sudden there's this void of all of these needs left behind that were being met by them and now aren't. And that void is what we experience as grief. And so filling that void back up by meeting the needs that were being met by this person is a huge cornerstone of healing. So I'll leave you with that for today. If you want to go deeper, check out the course. Again, it's a gift. You get to keep it free for life. And thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being here. If you have more questions or concerns that you're going through, please share in the comments. And, you know, by sharing in the comments, I go and I read through these things. I'm going to try to extract content for future videos so that all these questions can be answered. Okay. Thank you so much. I hope you subscribe, like, share with anybody who could use this channel or some of the work that we do here. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.